Welcome to The Clean Slate with your hosts, Daniel Garza and Carson Phillips, providing you with movie news, reviews, and more. Sit back, relax, and don't forget to go to the concessions to get your popcorn and drinks. For your entertainment, this is The Clean Slate Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Clean Slate Podcast. I'm Carson Phillips. That weirdo over there is Daniel Garza. You're our beautiful audience.
Why do you always insult me?
Someone has to. But today we got a really fun review ready for you.
Hold on. Why are you so far away from your microphone?
It's the only way to do this where the camera won't cut my head off. It looks fine on camera.
Okay.
I just realized.
Sorry. Okay, guys. Okay, guys. Welcome back to the Clean Slate Podcast. We are on day 24, 25. No, day 23.
Not even. It's like day
20. We're on one of the 20s days, guys. We're in the final stretch of our 31 days of Halloween, and today we got a really good one for you called The First Omen. A young American woman is sent to Rome to begin a life of service to the church, but encounters a darkness that causes her to question her faith and uncovers a terrifying conspiracy that hopes to bring about the birth of an evil incarnate.
Ooh.
Very wordy. Very wordy of a logline.
Yeah, I mean, jumping further into this movie, it is a prequel to a kind of massive franchise. The Omen's been around for a while. The original film's considered a classic. Have you seen the original?
Yes, I have.
You have? Okay.
Yeah,
it's one of those where, like, the name Damien becomes synonymous with the Antichrist. Like, even though it's not in the Bible, that's nowhere out there. It's just because of the Omen. And the sequels were not great, but
sure.
Then this movie comes around out of nowhere with a first-time director who kills it. And she crafts this really interesting prequel film. And essentially, the way this is set up, it's several years before the original, I almost said The First Omen. It is technically several years before the first Omen. And it takes place in Rome. And we have this American nun who is visiting, or I guess she's stationed there for whatever reason. We don't quite know yet. And we kind of get hints at this breeding program of the, that's crazy to say, of these, basically there's two Catholic churches. There's the actual good, normal Catholic church, debatable. And then there's the evil Catholic church who wants to bring people back to the church. And the way they want to achieve this is by bringing the Antichrist to Earth early, like not in God's timing or whatever the plan is. They're just doing it of their own power through horrible means of breeding people to get to the point where the Antichrist is born. So that's kind of the setup, and she's kind of becoming aware of this conspiracy and doesn't know who's involved, and a lot of crazy satanic evil stuff happens, and just normal like espionage kind of vibes almost at times, but
it's
intense.
True. Really well said. This movie is pretty crazy. Just for a reference point, $30 million budget, opening weekend $8 million, gross US and Canada $20 million, and gross worldwide $53 million. So this movie has not got the love that it deserves. Okay, so this movie doesn't necessarily, I think, get the love that it deserves in terms of people going to see this movie, but I also think that this movie wasn't really like publicized or I guess advertised.
I think the critics really liked it, from what I understand. They did. But it came out right after Immaculate, or whatever that one was called, which
is the worst version of this movie, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, they're both riffing off Rosemary's Baby for sure, but this is a much more worthy adaptation of that.
They're like they contrast each other just a little bit. So with Immaculate is they are trying to rebirth Jesus Christ, actually, spoiler alert. And it ends with, Sydney Sweeney taking the life of Jesus.
We've all been there.
Stop. That was horrible. And then this one is the Antichrist. So, kind of weird setups. But anyway, let's talk back to the first Omen. What are some of your likes on this movie?
I love this movie. I think
Yeah.
it's really smart. It's not necessarily a jump scare movie, but it has this eeriness. I think the setting has a lot to do with that. It was kind of shot like a 70s film, even. Like, visually, it reminded me of, like, 70s horror films. And not in, like, the cheesiness of it, but, like, the taking yourself seriously, but not so serious that you become, like, an A24 movie or whatever, where it's, like, too serious. But, yeah, so I think visually it's fantastic. The scares and the gore, like, there's some, like, pretty graphic moments. And it's not just there to be graphic, it's there to freak you out. Like, it creates this, like, oh, that's disturbing, but it still actually adds to the plot, too. So it's kind of like balances those very well. The soundtrack is killer. It's another kind of, like, throwback soundtrack. All the cast does a phenomenal job. What was the lead actress's name again? Tiger or something?
It's Nell Tiger Free.
Yeah, so she's really great in this. Yeah, she's in a couple things I've seen before. She's mostly in horror stuff. She was in the M. Night Shyamalan TV show that's on Apple TV. That very good show, actually, but mainly because she's good in it. So yeah, just seeing that performance was cool, and also pregnancy horror freaks me out.
Very much.
I'm a dude, so I can't do it, but seeing it in this setting freaks me out. Yeah. What about you? What is some stuff you liked?
So pretty much everything that you said, it was like right on point. I think that to go a step further, the first thing that like engrossed me into the film is just how it was shot. Like, I loved the setting of it, and you are thrown right into the setting of where this takes place, and you're like, again, same thing. I felt like I was watching an older movie.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. I thought the soundtrack was really good and well used. I was creeped out the entire time by this soundtrack. And I think they just used it all. Like, they used all the right tropes in the soundtrack, and then as well as hearing some different type of stuff. And then, it's creepy. Their way of using... It wasn't entirely CGI, but what is it? Practical effects was really intense. Yeah. And then it also, I think the plot overall leaves you wanting more. Like, I want
the first movie.
Exactly. It doesn't give you really a satisfying ending. You kind of like, wait, what? It's almost like a cliffhanger in the slowest possible way a cliffhanger can be.
Yeah, if we don't get another one of these from the same team, I'm going to be kind of bummed because I'm invested. Like, that final frame, I'm like, oh, that's so good. And it does change things a little bit from the previous films, but I think that's good. Keep it fresh. Yeah, I remember, I don't know if I watched the original Omen movie with you, or if it was with my brother. You might have saw the remake.
Maybe I did, yeah. That might have been it.
It was so bad.
I remember just being so, like, engrossed with it. I was just like, what? Is this real? And I thought it was a documentary.
Wow, yeah. Wow.
No, I didn't.
Mom and Dad, I know who the Antichrist is. It's this little
exactly. Like, it's his name, Damien. So
yeah, to the point when I met a Damien, I was like, oh, bro, get away. Get behind me.
Actually, kind of sad is the pastor at Century is named Damien.
Yo, he's the Antichrist. Allegedly. I don't know. Alleged. But
funny. Also, another notable actor that I really liked in this is Ralph Inson. He plays William in The Witch, the father.
Yeah,
he's so really good. He just has such a deep, like, commanding voice, and it's all British, so you're like, ooh.
Yeah, he has a nice, like, I'd listen to him read a book.
Yeah, but again, Nell Tiger Free is such a great actress in this, and you're really following along for her, and the story just gets so out of hand that,
and you feel bad for her too. Like, it's uneasy.
So you know what? Never mind. I'm not gonna say that.
Say it.
I was just gonna say one thing that is like, okay, one thing that was really keeping me in is she has such sharp eyes, and then her hair is so dark, and it just like this contrast of like the way that they did her, because she's not an actual, like, she doesn't have black hair in real life, but just that contrast in it like really brought me into her acting, and just the way that she just did all the facial expressions.
You need to watch Servant, dude, on Apple TV.
Maybe I should.
She's just so good in that.
Yeah, so anyway, yeah, those are all my likes. What about dislikes? Do you have any?
It's hard to say. I don't think I really have any dislikes. Like, I really enjoy this movie. I mean, maybe it's a tad bit long, but I think it's worth it. So, I don't have any dislikes. I enjoy it. I mean, it's very derivative. You know what I'm saying? You guys know what I'm saying. Yeah, it for sure reminded me a lot of Rosemary's Baby, which is ultimately that's a better movie, but this is pretty dang good. Like, for this big of a budget, this is a studio film, technically produced by Disney. First time director, like the fact that all those things came together and made something this good is very surprising.
Yeah, for sure. I would say my only dislike is her name's Carlita, right? The young girl.
I think so. Yeah.
I just wish there was a little bit more with her, and
like background story, or
or just more screen time of her, because I feel like we get a lot at the beginning, and then we get a lot. We get a lot of the Margaret throughout the rest of the film, but then kind of Carlita comes to save the day a little bit, and you're just like kind of left there being like, oh, okay, I didn't really feel a relationship being built there. I mean, you get it in terms of like they're both kind of in the same position. Quickly. Yeah.
And I feel like we don't get a lot of context as to like, because it indicates that a lot of people are on board with this at the end of the film, and I kind of I like that. It reminds me of Rosemary's Baby, but I wish maybe we explain that maybe. Again, that's where another movie would.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and then I would say the same thing with the character Luz, the roommate, pretty much. With there just wasn't enough story there, I think, for us to really jump on board, or for me to jump on board with like her being valid in the film. But other than that, I mean, those are just really two picky items. The rest of it is such a great film. I would definitely watch it again, and it's just very eerie. It makes you feel unsettled. Dude, first of all, Satan's hand, when he, like, first, like, the small things that you start to realize, like the tongue and the fingers.
You mean the jackal?
Dude. Yeah. Dude, that freaking creeped me out.
It's so disturbing. And, like, you technically don't trigger warning. I guess there's a big trigger warning in this movie of, like, SA, for those of you that are sensitive to that sort of thing. But you technically don't see anything.
Yeah.
Which almost makes it grosser and, like, creepier, horrifying,
because they truly leave it up to the imagination.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
Imagination station on this movie. So anyway, guys,
imagination.
That is going to do it for The First Omen. Such a great film. You can go check it out on, I believe, Hulu. Yeah. I'm sure it's on Disney Plus as well.
In other countries.
No, they've been putting like all their horrible stuff on Disney Plus now. Anyway, guys, so go check that out. It's a really great movie. Scare factor, real quick. Go.
10. Mainly because I don't want to be pregnant. That's scary.
Yeah, I would say probably about a 9. It's pretty scary. Anyway, guys, well, that's going to do it for today's episode. We will see you tomorrow, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment, tell us how we're doing, and tell us your thoughts on The First Omen. I had to look back to make sure. I almost said Rosemary's Baby. But tell us your thoughts, and we got a couple more movies to finish out our marathon. Guys, thank you so much for sticking around, those of you who have, and thank you for jumping on board if you just started. So thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow for another episode of 31 Nights of Halloween.
Deuces. That's a clean slate.